The Crow, from the book Animal Speak by Ted Andrews. Crow, keynote. The secret magic of creation is calling. Cycle of power all day, all year. My grandfather once told me that the crow was the smartest of all birds. What's more, it even knew it was the smartest of birds and enjoyed it to the fullest. In fact, it was so smart that it chose to stay a crow rather than move on to some other era of evolution. Has a unique ability to outwit most birds, animals, and even humans at times, and they make them for themselves a wonderful living. It can be thought as of another being who felt it was better to rule in hell than to serve in heaven. Crows seem to have mastered it well. Crows intrigue us and they aggravate us. They and their other family member, the raven, have a great mysticism and mythology about them. There are actually 5 species of crows, one of which is the raven. Because they are of the same family, only real difference being in size, it would be beneficial for those with crow as a totem to also study the qualities and the mystical aspects of the raven. The first noticeable characteristic about this bird is the striking black color. Sometimes it will have hints of deep blue with purple on the feathers as well. Black is the color of creation. It is the womb out of which the new is born. It is also the color of the night. Black is the maternal color, and thus the black night gives birth to the new day. Although the crow is diurnal or daytime bird, it reminds us that magic and creation are potentials very much alive during the day. The crow, because of its color, was a common symbol in medieval alchemy. It represented nigredo, the initial state of the substance, unformed but full of potential. In Roman mythology, ravens and crows used to be as white as swans. In fact, a white crow watched over Apollo's pregnant lover at Delphos. One day the crow brought the bad news to Apollo was turned black. This connection to watchfulness is still strong today. Crows always have a sentinel posted. They build their nest high in the treetops so they can see the entire area in which they are living and feeding. Occasionally crows have been seen attacking and killing one of their own. These arose an old belief that the crow being attacked was a sentinel who failed. It may also be a reminder of what can happen if we are not watching for magic and creation every day. Watchfulness warns other crows and other animals of intruders and threats, human and animal. They have been observed raising a ruckus when hunters are around, warning deer and other birds. They recognize possible dangers and they always post lookouts when feeding, the most vulnerable time. This ability to warn is connected to the crow's second most notable characteristic, the voice. The crow is actually a member of the songbird family because of its voice box structure. Although few think of the crow as a songbird, there have been many claims, unsubstantiated, over the years that when it is alone it will sing in a soft musical voice. Crows have a complex language. They have a remarkable voice range, but they actually do not sing. They can caw in many different ways, each with its own meaning. Learning to understand the language of crows is something we all can do with practice. Although it has a tongue, it does not use the tongue to make any sounds. Pliny once wrote that if the tongue of the crow were split, it would learn to speak like humans. This, of course, is not true. All that would happen is that the crow bleeds to death. The cawing out of the crow should remind us that magic and creation are cawing out to us every day. The great horned owl is probably the most deadly enemy of the crow. If an owl comes into the area of a crow, it will mob the owl and chase it off. Crows know that if the owl discovers its nest, the night could bring death. Many crows have lost their life to the silent night hunt of owls. The crow has great intelligence. It is adaptable to its environment. It will eat almost anything. Part of their ability to survive is their being an omnivorous. They have the unique ability to communicate with each other, to work together. Their ability for watching and their intelligence has given them a reputation for thievery. They will rob food from other birds or whatever source is around, including human food supplies. Crows and all corvines are easily imprinted with their image of their keeper. Those who have had crows as pets have found them extremely trainable, with an ability to count and develop a complex communication with their owner. And yet in the wild, even though they are constantly seen and heard, it is hard to get near them. Again, I have found that it reflects for most people little awareness or realization of the magic necessary to create or recreate their life. The courtship and mating procedures also reflect much about the crow's association with magic. The male crow set out to make itself as handsome as possible, and it is during this time that its voice takes on a singing quality. Love makes the whole world sing. The male and female build the nests together. The nest is built up high for protection and it is kept very clean. Even young crows do not foul their own nest. A little meditation on this will reveal much about health, home, and respect. Crows have a great mythology about them. This can reflect not only past life connections to those times and cultures, but also reflects of the archetypal forces that it connect with us. As with many animals, crows also have been known to predict tornadoes, rain, and other changes in weather by the way they fly. Working with crows can help you see how the winds are going to blow into your life and how to adjust your own life flights. Crows have long been considered magical, and my grandfather once told me how even finding a dead crow was a sign of good luck. We have spoken of crows and their link to Greek-Roman mythology, but they have appeared in others as well. In China, the three-legged sun crow was worshipped as a symbol for solitude. The Athabascan Indians of Alaska, a crow, in the form of a raven, was the creator of the world. To the Celts, the crow was also associated with creation. In biblical lore, the prophet Elijah was fed by ravens and crows while hiding in the wilderness. In the Norse tradition, the god Odin had two ravens who were his messengers. Wherever crows are, there is magic. They are symbols of creation and spiritual strength. They remind us to look for opportunities, to create and manifest the magic of life. They are the messengers calling out the creation and magic that is alive within our world, every day available to us. The Raven. Keynote: magic, shape-shifting and creation. Cycle of power, winter solstice. The raven is one of those birds that has a tremendous amount of lore and mythology surrounding it, and it is often contradictory. It is a bird of birth and death, and it is a bird of mysticism and magic. In the Near East, the raven was considered unclean because it is a scavenger. It is one of the food listed as forbidden in the Bible. The raven is one of the birds that Noah sent out after the floods, but did not return to the ark. On the other hand, also biblical lore is the tale of how a raven fed the prophet Elijah when hiding from King Ahab. In Scandinavian lore, the raven played a significant role. The Norse god Odin had a pair of ravens who were his messengers. The names were Hugin, Thought, and Munin, memory. Odin was known to shapeshift as Raven himself. This reflects the idea of Raven being a messenger of the great spiritual realm. The raven has long history of being an omen. During the Middle Ages, the croak of the raven was believed to foretell a death or the outcome of a battle. It was even thought to the common folk in the Christian communities that wicked priests became ravens when they died. Even today, some old-timers tell you how you can expect hot weather when a raven is seen facing a clouded sun. The raven is a member of the corvids family, to which belongs crows and magpies and other such birds. In truth, the only really significant difference between the crow and the raven is in size, the raven being much larger. It would be beneficial to study the information on the crow for anyone who has raven as a totem. Much as the same information that applies to one also applies to the other. It is more a matter of degree. Rather than repeat that information here, I would like to give you some information not generally associated with the crow itself. The raven has a wealth of myths and lore surrounding it. In many ways it is comparable to the coyote tales of the Plain Indians, the bushman tales of the Mantis, and other societies in which an animal plays both a significant and yet confusing role. The coyote was both trickster and wise, fool and wise one. This was true of the Mantis in the tales of the Kalahari bushman. In the Pacific Northwest, the raven has the same aura about him. In the Pacific Northwest, the raven have brought forth life and order. Raven stole the sunlight from one who would keep the world in darkness. Nothing could exist without Raven. Raven is honored in art and totem poles, reflecting the tales and mysticism that have developed around it. With Raven, human and animal spirits intermingle and become as one. This is reflected in its deep, rich, shiny black. In blackness, everything mingles until drawn forth out into the light. Because of this, ravens can help you shapeshift your life or being. A raven has the knowledge of how to become other animals and how to speak the languages. Ravens are great at vocalizations and they can be taught to speak. They incorporate and mimic the calls of other species. In the Northwest, the tales of the Quaticule Indians who offered the afterbirth of male newborns to ravens, so that when they grew up they would understand their cries. Raven can teach you how to understand the language of animals. Ravens are playful, and they are excellent tool users. They will use stones and anything else that is available to help them crack nuts and such. They are birds not intimidated by other, and they are very fast and wary. Because of this, they are not easy prey for other animals or birds. This implies the ability to teach you how to stir the magic of life without fear. They are also known for their amorous behavior, reflecting the strong creative life form to which they have access. This creative life force can be used to work into the magic spiritual laws upon the physical plane. It can be used to go into the void and stir the energies to manifest that which you most need. And this and more is what the raven teaches. If Raven has come to your life, expect magic. Somewhere in your life, magic is at play. Raven activates the energy of magic, linking it with your will and intention. Raven speaks of the opportunity to become the magician and or enchantress of your life. Each of us has the magician within, and it is Raven which can show us how to bring that part of the dark into the light. Raven speaks the messages from the spirit realm and can shapeshift your life dramatically. Raven teaches how to take that which is unformed and give it the form you desire. The winter solstice and winter season is the time of the greatest power for those with the raven as a totem. The solstice is the shortest day of the year, the sun shineth the least on this day, thus it is the darkest. From the day forth the light shines a little more each day. This is symbolic of the influence of Raven. It teaches how to go into the dark and bring forth the light. With each trip in, we develop the ability to bring more light out. This is creation.